As a mom, you sometimes don't have the option to fall apart. You have to do what you have to do for your kids. You just keep going for your kids. When Charlie was 1 week old, we got a call from his pediatrician that they had gotten the newborn screening back, and it was positive for something called SCID. And so, in collaboration, the immunologist here at Rady's, especially at LA Children's, and his pediatrician decided to admit him to the hospital at Balboa in reverse isolation. And then the low immune system combined with the heart issues that led the doctors here to question to see if he had DeGeorge syndrome or 22q11. And so they did genetic testing to confirm that. So he does need open heart surgery to repair his heart, his left pulmonary artery. And then for the missing thymus gland, he needs a thymus gland transplant. But I always wanted 4 kids growing up, and my grandmother's rule was never have more kids than you have car windows. So we have a minivan, so we could have 4 kids. My oldest is in kindergarten, and so I get him up, get him dressed, pack his lunch, and then take him to the bus stop, and then come home and get the other kids dressed and fed. And then typically about 8 o'clock we have a nanny that comes, and then I try and get here by 9 for the 9 o'clock feeding on his feeding schedule. And then depending on my husband's schedule, sometimes I go home about 2 o'clock. I like to stay till after shift change to know who his nurse is for the night and talk to them, and just kind of touch base with them before I try to go home. So my husband was deployed most of last year with the Navy. He got home 30 hours before Charlie was born, and so they're really used to mom and mom being home with them. And so my biggest fear, my hardest thing in all of this, I guess, is balancing my other kids' need for me to be home with them and my need to be at the hospital with Charlie. Because I know when I'm not here that Charlie's safe, he's okay. The nurses and doctors are taking great care of him. But as a mom, I need to be here with him. It's sad, like the other day, Jack, my 6-year-old, asked me, Mom, what happens if Charlie dies? And that's not a normal question that, is brought about, but, my husband and I have talked about it, that it's really important to us that we're honest with them, and, we're not gonna be grim about it, but, let him know that, that's why Charlie's in the hospital, is to keep him safe. We're trying to keep as many of the viruses and bugs away from him as possible until he can get the thymus transplant. And so, but if he were to get sick, that is possible, and Mommy and Daddy will be very, very sad, and we would cry a lot, but it would be okay, and we would get through it as a family.